Hello, friends. Today I'd like to talk about a new book which I have discovered um, through my membership of the Japan Society of London. I'm an overseas member, and I was just reading through their book review uh, section recently, and I discovered, to my excitement and great interest, I discovered the following book. Let me just show you. There we are. A Man of Resolve, Richard Henry Brunton, civil engineer at work in 19th century Great Britain, Japan, and Ireland, by Dr. Jeff Goulnick. And this is a great news for me because I've felt for a long time that Richard Henry Brunton should have a decent biography. And so this is what we're looking at now is the Kindle version, which I bought straight away through Amazon Japan. There is also a paperback which I have ordered, which is fairly expensive compared at least to the Kindle as you'd expect, but it's I think it's about £40 UK. Anyway, here we go. Let's take a look. Um, there's Brunton, a portrait of Brunton. Whoops. There we are. Oh, sorry. Uh, there, that's better. So he's fairly, I don't know, in this portrait, he's what would he be? What age would he be there? 40, 50? Anyway, let's move on to next thing. Here we are. There's the front. And this is all the stuff, the copyright stuff and the dedication. And here are the contents. And what interests me instantly is, okay, chapter one is early years and first professional steps in the UK. However, then we get quite a lot of Japan. We get two, Japan and the proposal to light its coasts, selection and appointment of the lighthouse engineers for Japan, use of foreign experts in Japan, contributions made by Brunton and his team to projects beyond lighthouses, lighting Japan's coastline, and so it goes on. I think all this is about Japan. Certainly, chapter 11, the Iwakura Great Embassy and Brunton's involvement. I have studied that the Iwakura mission to America and Europe previously, and written about the mission in Britain. Future plans, intentions, chapter 12. Okay, so 14, towards the end of Brunton's stay in Japan. So they're still writing, they're still about Japan, basically, and his contribution to the lighthouses in Japan. He was known as the father of the Japanese lighthouses, or I think this book calls him the king, but I've never heard of him being called king. But anyway, doesn't really matter. It's just a nickname. And so the final chapters from about what, chapter 15 or 16 to the end seem not to be Japan based, which means most of this book is Japan based. And acknowledgements, it's a very thorough academic book. So you can see plenty of acknowledgements there. And the preface, excuse me. So if we are to understand Richard Henry Brunton, we first need to understand the traditions that shaped him professionally and personally. Thomas Tregold in 1828 was asked to define civil engineering for the Institution of Civil Engineers, and he wrote that, and so on and so forth. And this is Jeff Goulnick, the author. So he seems to be a Doctor of Education and an FRSA and FRAS, and he lives in Aberdeenshire, which is where Brunton hailed from. Well, he hailed from Muchalls, Muchalls, I think. Okay, so yeah, so here we have the family introduced. Um, I shall just sort of flip through this because, yeah, transfer to Muchels. There we are. Um, so there's the Muchels Coast Guard Station. It's interesting because Thomas Blake Glover was the son of a Coast Guard. So I suppose Brunton's father was also a Coast Guard, was he? Let's see. Um, another Coast Guard station in Scotland. And then the beginnings of Brunton's career as a civil engineer, moving to London. Um, uh, there are quite lots of endnotes for each chapter, and I was pleased to see that Ernest Satow gets a mention quite a lot, and I even get a mention on one occasion. Let's see if I can find that. Yes, there we are, Ruxton. There we are in the footnote 712. Um, letter from Satow to Dickens, spelt wrongly, I think. There, yes, it should be Frederick Victor Dickens with an I, not an E. It's not Charles. It's not spelt the same as Charles Dickens. Anyway, so there's a quotation there from a letter from Satow to his friend Frederick Victor Dickens, and there it is. To make a map of Japan, one must have traveled through every part of it. I have never yet met a native who could know anything, who knew anything about the geography of his own country. Okay, let's return to where we were before. Hang on, if we can get back there. About there, I think. Um, yeah, Japan and the proposal to light its coasts. Okay, so it's a very thorough book. Let's just while we're on the subject of searching for words and phrases, let's search for Sato and see how many times. Yeah, lots of times he appears. Let's see. Uh, for example, there's page 109. This is in the Kindle version. Yes. Okay. So that's quoting from a diplomat in Japan, I think, about the attack on Kagoshima, if I'm not mistaken. Or is it? No, it's Yokohama. It's the Great Fire of Yokohama. Sorry. Um, okay. So Ernest Sato gets plenty of mentions, which is good to see. And let me see. Uh, well, there's plenty more that one could say. Um, I have ordered the paperback, which will be easier to read. But as for I find for searching for things, keywords in particular, it's hard to beat the an electronic or a digitized version, such as a Kindle. Other versions are probably available for this book. I don't know. Excuse me. So here we are, lighthouse near Nagasaki and Sahari Parks. Um, Plenty of photographs of various people, which is good. Um, and lots of TNA is the National Archives. Okay. So at Kew in west of London. And FO would be Foreign Office. So FO 46 is a standard file for official documents on Japan in the 19th century. Um, okay. Selection and appointment of the lighthouse engineers for Japan. And so, whoops, who are those people? David Stevenson. Yeah. So this is the Stevenson family. They were brothers here, these two, and they had a lighthouse building firm which built most, I think all of, I'm not sure if all of most certainly of the Scottish lighthouses. They were based in Edinburgh. And by the way, Robert Louis Stevenson was of the same family, the author. Um, and there we are, appointment of Brunton as chief engineer. And then all this, I mean, one can read through this at high speed, I suppose. But yeah, I think this is really well done, and I'm really delighted to see this because Well, for one thing, I live quite close to some of the Japanese lighthouses. There's some which were built to Brunton's design. So there's one in Moji Ward, in Kee-tah-kew-shoo city, which I discovered just the other day. I also live in Kee-tah-kew-shoo, by the way. And that one is sort of facing onto the inland sea. It's quite a short one, uh, but there's quite a tall one at Tsunoshima, which is in actually it's in Shimonoseki on the in Honshu on the other side of the uh, Kanmon Strait from here. And if you go up towards Hagi, if you know that area, you'll find it on the left side on an island called Tsunoshima. And that one that has a museum, and it even has still got the house which the Scottish lighthouse keeper and his wife stayed in. She hated it there, I think. Can't really blame her for that. But anyway, I suppose she didn't learn the language or whatever. Um, there we are. And this is stuff about sanitation. So Brunton was also involved in that. And yeah, Brunton has been uh, ignored so far or disregarded his role in the British impact on Japan. And I think this book is long overdue and an important book, I have to say. Um, and for it to have, I don't know. I mean, the author has clearly spent a great deal of time in Japan also. Uh, he's visited the Yokohama Archives of History, which is an important place to go for this sort of information. And yeah, I'm delighted to see this, and I'm looking forward to reading the paperback when it appears. Okay, I think I've probably said enough, so I'm going to stop the share now. And thank you very much if you have been watching or and listening or just listening to this. And if you could like and subscribe to this, like this video and subscribe to the channel, I'd be very pleased. Okay, thank you very much. Bye now.